What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy, and today I am going to release the tutorial that I've been working on. So basically in the tutorial, I recreate the Tesla UI using mobile first design. If you guys are curious what it looks like, the finished product, it looks something like this over here. So what I use in this project is basically just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And no frameworks, no libraries. These are just these technologies at its purest form. So this is a really good a tutorial to code along to if you guys want to review your fundamentals of the front end development, because every framework that's ever created for the front end will always use these three technologies. I'm going to start this off at episode 0 because we're developers, but episode 0, it's just going to cover your environment setup and also the code structure setup. It's fairly simple. It's going to go over the things that I use and also the structure of the code that is going to help in the next videos going forward. So yeah, stay tuned, and let's head over to the computer to see how to set up your environment. All right, guys. So the software that you guys need to create this project is very minimal. So one thing I would recommend is having Git. So as you see on my computer screen here, I'm at git-sem.com. You only need to download this command line if you don't have this on if you don't have Git installed in command line. So most likely if you're on Windows, you won't have this natively installed, but let's say if you're on Mac, then this Git feature comes installed on a Mac already. So you wouldn't need to download this git bash command line. But if you don't have it, go ahead and download it. I recommend git-sem. That's the one that I used to use when I was on a Windows device. And the next piece of software you need is a code editor, or just a random text editor is fine too, but you probably want something more for code. I remember the days of the TextPad, the Notepad tutorials that people used to upload on YouTube, but those days are over. Now we have things like Atom and Visual Studio Code. I recommend VS Code because it's what the industry uses, and it's been like that for a while, and it's only getting better. So, and it's totally free. So yeah, so I would recommend this. So once we have those set up, what we can do is start creating the files that go into our project. So let's go to our command line. So once we're here at the terminal, we want to create a folder to keep everything from our project. So you can go to your UI and create a folder and create these files. But I like to do it in the command line because they're all in one place, and it's a lot easier. And also, and I can create like multiple files with one command, right? So in order to create a folder, we would do make directory, and then the name of the folder. So I'll name this one Tesla UI mobile YouTube. And so once we create it, we can go into it, and how we enter folders is through this command cd. So Tesla UI mobile YouTube. So once we're in here, we can see what's inside by doing ls. As you see, nothing's inside this folder because we just created it. So the things we need inside this folder is another folder to hold all our images and our different assets, and also a HTML file, a CSS file, and a JavaScript file. So we can create another folder just like how we created this Tesla UI mobile YouTube by doing make directory, and we can do make directory images, or I'll just call it assets. And then we can create those three files I mentioned, the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, by using the touch command. So touch index dot HTML, and then space. We can do index dot CSS, and then space index dot JS. So once we do this, those three files should be created, and we can confirm by just going to our finder here. Let's see, Tesla UI YouTube. And if we go in here, you see there's the assets folder, and then there's three files here. So yeah, that's how you create files with the command line. You don't have to do this. You can just go through the UI and create these files as well. Do a code dot, and it should open the current directory inside of the VS Code editor. So what we want to do now is to link up this HTML file. First of all, give it a backbone structure, and second of all, link up the CSS and JavaScript files so that everything is connected. So what we can do is just in VS Code, we can just do HTML, and then go down to this 5. And so this is a plugin. I think it comes by default because I certainly didn't download this one, but you can just go to HTML5 and then you just do a tab, and then the backbone structure is there for you. But in order to link the CSS file and also the JS file, we can link it up in the head tag over here. Head tag contains the metadata for the application and also the title. So we'll take a look, we'll revisit this title and change it later, but for now let's just link these files. There is a link attribute. So this link tag is what we're going to be using to link our CSS files, and it takes 2 attributes. One is rel, and rel is just you define what type of link it is, and it's going to be for a style sheet. And then the type will be text slash CSS. And then the href is the path to that CSS file that you're trying to link. So as you see here, we are in the same directory as index.css, so we can do same directory, and then we just point to the file just by calling the file name here. So now these 2 files should be linked. And then how we're gonna link the JavaScript file is through a script tag. It works a little bit differently. So the script tag only has one attribute that we have to mention, which is src, and it stands for source, and we also just give it a path of where the JavaScript file is. So in our case, it's the current directory and then index.js. So yep, that's it. So now that we have these files linked up, so let's just do a quick sanity check that these files are linked up properly. So first thing we're gonna do is test the CSS file. So let's do a h1. So in the h1, what we can do is say hello YouTube, and then what we can do in the CSS file is give it target the h1 and give it a color of blue. So hopefully if I start the server, I should see, whoops, still getting used to this new keyboard, guys. Let's see, if we start the server, we should expect the h1 that is blue. And as you see here, hello YouTube, and it is blue. So how do we test the JavaScript? Well, alright guys, so we have the HTML, so we know the CSS is linked up. Now the way we can test the JavaScript file is to add an event listener on the web and console log something out when the page is loaded. So in the index.js, we can say document.add event listener. And then add event listener takes in 2 parameters. One is the event that you're listening for, and the second one is a callback function. Callback function is nothing but a function within a function. So the event that we're listening for is called DOM content loaded. I think, how do you spell it? So okay, let me grab it from here. So we can do DOM content loaded, and then we can do console.log console.log JavaScript. Oh, JavaScript linked. Okay, so we can save this, and then if we go back to our live server, what we should expect is still this, and then after we load it, JavaScript is linked. So this is coming from our JavaScript file, and we know that it's linked to the HTML file. So this is just like a basic code setup video. Stay tuned for our next episode when we jump into how to make the nav bar. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned.